Back again, reading The Art of Seduction. We're doing the rake today, which is, in the simplest way to say it, the male equivalent to the siren. So let's get it cracking. The rake. A woman never quite feels desired and appreciated enough. She wants attention, but a man is too often distracted and unresponsive. The rake is a great female fantasy figure. When he desires a woman, brief though that moment may be, he will go to the ends of the earth for her. He may be disloyal, dishonest, and immoral, but that only adds to his appeal. Unlike the normal, cautious male, the rake is delightfully unrestrained, a slave to his love of women. There is the added lure of his reputation. So many women have succumbed to him. So many women have succumbed to him. Damn, see, there's an added lore of his reputation. So many women have succumbed to him. There has to be a reason. Words are a woman's weakness, and the rake is a master of seductive language. Stir a woman's repressed longings by adapting the rake's mix of danger and pleasure. The ardent rake. For the court of Louis XVI, the king's last years were gloomy. He was old and had become both insufferably religious and personally unpleasant. The court was bored and desperate for novelty. So in 1710, the arrival of a 15-year-old lad who was both devilishly handsome and charming had a particularly strong effect on the ladies. His name was Fronsac, the future Duke de Richelieu, his granduncle being the infamous Cardinal Richelieu. He was impudent and witty. The ladies would play with him like a toy, but he would kiss them on the lips in return, his hands wandering far for an unexperienced boy. When those hands strayed up the skirts of a duchess who was not so indulgent, the king was furious and sent the youth to the Bastille to teach him a lesson. But the ladies who had found him so amusing could not endure his absence. Compared to the stiffs in court, here was someone incredibly bold, his eyes boring into you, his hands quicker than quick his, his hands quicker than was safe. Nothing could stop him. His novelty was irresistible. The court the court ladies pleaded, and his stay in the Bastille was cut short. That nigga, who is Francois? This boy cold blooded. He got the he got the bitches getting him out of jail. You heard what they talking about? Several years later, the young Mademoiselle de Valois, Louise was walking in a Paris park with her chaperone, an older woman who never left her side. De Valois' father, the Duke d'Orleans, was determined to protect her, his youngest daughter, from all the court seducers until she could be married off. So he had attached to her this chaperone, a woman of impeccable virtue and sourness. In the park, however, De, De Valois saw a young man who gave her a look that set her heart on fire. He walked on by, but the look was intense and clear. It was her chaperone who told her his name. The now infamous Duke de Richelieu, blasphemer, seducer, heartbreaker, someone to avoid at all costs. Hey, she love that nigga. He known to be doing everything wrong. Damn. She was, whew. A few days later, the chaperone took D. Veloise to a different park, and lo and behold, Richie Louis, Richie Louis, Richie Louis crossed their path again. This time, he was in disguise, dressed as a beggar, but the look in his eye was unforgettable. Mademoiselle de Veloise returned his gaze. At last, something exciting in her drab life. Given her father's sternness, no man had dared approach her, and now this notorious courtier was pursuing her instead of all the other ladies at court. What a thrill! Soon he was smuggling beautifully written notes to her, expressing his uncontrollable desire for her. She responded timidly, but soon the notes were all she was living for. In one of them, he promised to arrange everything if she would spend the night with him. Imagining it was impossible to bring such a thing to pass, she did not mind. She did not mind playing along and agreeing to his bold proposal. Mademoiselle de Louise had a chambermaid named Angelique, who dressed her for bed and slept in an adjoining room. One night, as the chaperone was knitting, de Veloise looked up from the book she was reading to see Angelique carrying her mistress's night clothes to her room. But for some strange reason, Angelique looked back at her and smiled. It was Richie Lou, Richie Lou, expertly dressed as the maid. De Veloise nearly gasped from fright, but caught herself, realizing the danger she was in. If she said anything, her family would find out about the notes and about her part in the whole affair. What could she do? She decided to go to her room and talk the young Duke out of his ridiculously dangerous maneuver. She said good night to her chaperone. But once she was in her bedroom, the words she had planned were useless. When she tried to reason with Richie Lou, he responded with that look in his eye, and then with his arms around her. She could not yell, but now she was unsure what to do. His impromptu words, his caresses, the danger of it all. Her head was whirling. She was lost. What what was virtue in her prior boredom compared to an evening with the court's most notorious rake? So while the chaperone knitted away, the Duke initiated her into the rituals of libertinage, whatever that means, or libertinage, or whatever. I don't know. This boy cold. He came dressed as the maid in the room. You feel me? She don't know what's going on. That boy cold. Months later, or that might mean he fucked her. Yeah, I think he had sex with her. I think that's what that means. Anyway, months later, D. Veloise's father had reason to suspect that Richard Lulu had broken through his lines of defense. The chaperone was fired. The precautions were doubled. The Lawrence, the Orleans, the Orleans did not realize that to Richard Lulu such measures were a challenge, and he lived for challenges. He bought the house next door under an assumed name and secretly tunneled a trapdoor through the wall adjoining the Duke's kitchen cupboard. In this cupboard, over the next few months, until the novelty wore off, Deva Louise and Richard Lee Wu enjoyed endless tri- trites. Whew. He was knocking her back. She couldn't believe it. You made a tunnel to get to that coochie. Boy ain't playing. Made a tunnel to get to that little coochie. Everyone in Paris knew of Rich Lou's exploits, for he had made it a point to publicize them as loudly as possible. Every week, a new story would circulate through the court. The husband had locked his wife in an upstairs room at night, worried the Duke was after her. To reach her, the Duke had crawled in darkness along a thin wooden plank suspended between two upper floor windows. Two women. Dog, this nigga still hit it. This nigga done locked the bitch in the way. The dog came through, knocked her down. Two women who lived in the same house, one a widow and the other married and quite religious, had discovered to their mutual horror that the Duke was having an affair with both of them at the same time, leaving one in the middle of the night to be with the other. When they confronted him, the Duke, always on the prowl for something novel and a devilish talker, had neither apologized nor backed down, but proceeded to talk them into a menage a trois. This nigga the man. Playing, playing on the wounded vanity of each woman who could not stand the thought of him preferring the other. Year after year, the stories of his remarkable seduction spread. One woman admired his audacity and bravery, another his gallantry in thwarting a husband. Women competed for his attention. If he did not want to seduce you, there had to be something wrong with you. to, to be the target of his attentions became a great fantasy. At one point, two ladies fought a pistol duel over the Duke, and one of them was seriously wounded. The Duchess d'Orleans, Richard Lou's most bitter enemy, once wrote, "If I believed in sorcery, I should think that the Duke possessed some supernatural secret, for I have never known a woman to oppose the very least resistance to him." Damn, my nigga, Duke, the Duke was the man. Damn, who was the Duke? We gotta look Duke up. In seduction, there's often a dilemma. To to seduce, you need planning and calculation. But if your victim suspects that you have ulterior motives, she will grow defensive. Furthermore, if you seem to be in control, you will inspire fear instead of desire. The ardent rake solves this dilemma in the most artful manner. Of course, he must calculate and plan. He has to find a way around the jealous husband or whatever the obstacle is. It is exhausting work, but by nature, the ardent rake also has the advantage of an uncontrollable libido. When the pursues when he pursues a woman, he really is aglow with desire. The victim senses this and is inflamed, even despite herself. How can she imagine that he is a heartless seducer who will abandon her when he so ardently braves all dangers and obstacles to get to her? And even if she is aware of his rakish past, of his incorrigible morality, it doesn't matter because she also sees his weakness. He cannot control himself. He actually is a slave to all women. As such, he inspires no fear. The ardent rake teaches us a simple lesson. Intense desire has a distracting power on a woman, just as the siren's physical presence does on a man. A woman is often defensive and can sense insecurity or calculation. But if she feels consumed by your attentions and is confident you will do anything for her, she will notice nothing else about you, or will find a way to forgive you, or find a way to forgive your indiscretions. This is the perfect cover for a seducer. The key is to show no hesitation, no to abandon all restraint, to let yourself go, to show that you cannot control yourself and are fundamentally weak. Do not worry about inspiring mistrust. As long as you are the slave to her charms, she will not think of the aftermath. Damn, that's deep. It don't even matter. She think you just love women so much. So she ain't scared. She comfortable around. She don't sense no insecurities because you ain't insecure. You confident in yourself because you love so much woman. Confident to get the woman because you love them so much. And I don't think you moving off calculation and planning. You moving off impulse. That's how they looking at it and thinking. feeling. Is what this saying, you know? Okay. The demonic rake. In the early 1880s, members of Roman high society began talk of a young journalist who had arrived on the scene, a certain Gabriele di Annunzio. This was strange in itself, for Italian royalty had only the deepest contempt for anyone outside their circle, and a newspaper society reporter was almost as low as you can go. Indeed, well-born men paid the Diananzo little attention. He had no money and few connections, coming from a strictly middle-class background. Besides, to them he was a downright ugly, short and stocky, with a dark, splotchy complexion and bulging eyes. The men thought him so unappealing they gladly let him mingle with their wives and daughters, certain that their women would be safe with this gargoyle, and happy to get this gossip hunter off their hands. No, it was not the men who talked of the Anonzo, it was their wives. How the fuck this ugly motherfucker get him? So ugly ass. He ugly as hell. Introduced to Dionazio by their husbands, these duchesses and Mar- Marcian Marcianesses would find themselves entertaining this strange looking man. And when he was alone with them, his manner would suddenly change. Within minutes, these ladies would be spellbound. First, he had the most magnificent voice they had ever heard, soft and low, each syllable articulated with a flowing rhythm and inflection that was almost musical. One woman compared it to the ringing of church bells in the distance. Damn. Others said his voice had a hypnotic effect. The words that voice spoke were interesting as well. Alliterative phrases. Alliterative phrases. Charming locutions, poetic images, and a way of offering praise that could melt a woman's heart. D. Annunzio had mastered the art of flattery. He seemed to know each woman's weakness. One he will call the goddess of nature, another an incomparable artist in the making, another a romantic figure out of a novel. A woman's heart would flutter as he described the effect she had on him. Everything was suggestive, hinting at sex or romance. That night, she would ponder his words, recalling little in particular that he had said, because he never said anything concrete, but rather the feeling it had given her. The next day, she would receive from him a poem that seemed to have been written specifically for her. In fact, he wrote dozens of very similar poems, slightly tailoring each one for its intended victim. Now, a few years after Dionysio began work as a society reporter, he married the daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Galice. Shortly thereafter, with the unshakable support of society ladies, he began publishing novels and books of poetry. The number of his conquests was remarkable, and also the quality. Not only Mar- Marchion- Marchionesses, Marchionesses will fall at his feet, but great artists such as the actress Eleanor Duse, who helped him become a respected dramatist and literary celebrity. The dancer Isadora Duncan, another who eventually fell under his spell, explained his magic. Perhaps the most remarkable lover of our time is Gabriel D'Annunzio, and this notwithstanding that he is small, bald, and except when his face lights up with enthusiasm, ugly. But when he speaks to a woman he likes, his face is transfigured so that he suddenly becomes Apollo. His effect on women is remarkable. The lady he is talking to suddenly feels that her very soul and being are lifted. Damn, that nigga was spitting that game. Gabriel D'Annunzio. You might gotta look him up. He was spitting that game. And he was an ugly motherfucker. At the outbreak of World War I, the 52-year-old D'Annunzio joined the army. Although he had no military experience, this nigga joined the army. Although he had no military experience, he had a flair for the dramatic and a burning desire to prove his bravery. He learned to fly and led dangerous but highly effective missions. By the end of the war, he was Italy's most decorated hero. His exploits made him a beloved national figure, and after the war, crowds would gather outside his hotel, wherever in Italy he went. He would address them from a balcony, discussing politics, railing against the current Italian government. A witness of one of these speeches, the American writer Walter Starkey, was initially disappointed at the appearance of the famous D'Annunzio on a balcony in Venice. He was short and looked grotesque. Little by little, however, I began to sink under the fascination of the voice, which penetrated into the consciousness, penetrated into my consciousness. Never a hurried, jerky gesture. He played upon the emotions of the crowd as a supreme violinist does upon a Stradivarius, Stradivarius. The crowd of supreme violinist does upon the Stradivarius. The eyes of the thousands were fixed upon him as though hypnotized by his power. Once again, it was the sound of the voice and the poetic concoct, con, con, connotations and the poetic connotations of the words that seduced the masses, arguing that modern Italy should reclaim the greatness of the Roman Empire. D'Annunzio would craft slogans for the audience to repeat, or would ask emotionally loaded questions for them to answer. He flattered the crowd, made them feel they were a part of some drama. Everything was vague and suggestive. Everything was vague and suggestive. The issue of the day, the issue of the day was the ownership of the city of Fiume, 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 just across the border in neighboring Yugoslavia. Many Italians believe that Italy's reward for siding with the Allies in the recent war should be the annexation of Fiume. D'Annunzio championed this cause, and because of his status as a war hero, the army was ready to side with him, although the government opposed any action. In September of 1919, with soldiers rallying around him, D'Annunzio led his infamous march on Fiume when general when an Italian general stopped him along the way and threatened to shoot him. D'Annunzio opened his coat to show his medals and said in his magnetic voice, "If you must kill me, fire first on this." The general stood there stunned, then broke into tears. He joined up with D'Annunzio. This nigga was cold. Everybody loved this nigga, the men and the women. This nigga cold. Shit, this nigga broke into tears. Ah, damn. When D'Annunzio entered Fiume, he was greeted as a liberator. The next day, he was declared leader of the Free State of Fiume. Soon, he was giving daily speeches from a balcony overlooking the town's main square, holding tens of thousands of people spellbound without benefit of loudspeakers. Without loudspeakers. He initiated all kinds of celebrations and rituals harking back to the Roman Empire. The citizens of Fiume began to emulate him, particularly his sexual exploits. The city became like a giant bordello. His popularity was so high that the Italian government feared and march on Rome, which at that point, had Dionysius decided to do it, he had the support of a large part of the military, might actually have succeeded. Dionysius could have beaten Mussolini to the punch and changed the course of history. Damn. He he decided to stay in Fiume, however, and ruled there for 16 months before the Italian government finally bombed him out of the city. he, he was only there for 18 months, but he was, 16 months, but he was going crazy. Seduction is a psychology. This is Seduction is a psychological process that transcends gender, except in a few key areas where each gender has its own weakness. The male is traditionally vulnerable to the visual. The siren who can concoct the right physical appearance will seduce in large numbers. For women, the weakness is language and words, as was written by one of Dionysio's victims, the French actress Simone. How can one explain his conquest except by his extraordinary verbal power and the musical timbre of his voice, put to the service of exponential eloquence? For my sex is susceptible to words, bewitched by them, longing to be dominated by them. Damn. The rake is a promiscuous. The rake is as The rake is as promiscuous with words as he is with women. He chooses words for their ability to suggest, insinuate, hypnotize, elevate, affect. The words of the rake are equivalent of the bodily adornment of the siren, a powerful sensual distraction, a narcotic. The rake's use of language is demonic because it is designed not to communicate or convey information, but to persuade, flatter, stir emotional turmoil, much as the serpent in the Garden of Eden used words to lead Eve into temptation. The example of Dionysius reveals the link between the erotic rake, who seduces women, and the political rake, who seduces the masses. Both depend on words. Adapt the character of the rake, and you will find that the use of words as subtle as a subtle poison has infinite applications. Remember, it is the form that matters, not the content. The less your targets focus on what you say, and the more on how it makes them feel, the more seductive your effect. Give your words a lofty, spiritual, literally flavor, the better to, the better to insinuate desire in your unwitting victims. Damn. So you gotta talk that shit. It's how you say it. You gotta get your voice right. Make sure you got your voice talking in the right way, the right tone, the right speed. Uh, but that go with fucking a bitch, selling shit. He conquered the masses, armies, towns, city, countries, all that. How you talk, your voice, the words you use, all that matter. You gotta use certain words, certain languages, certain tones. Ah, clear your voice up. Mm. Keys to the character. All right, my bad. Keys to the character. At first, it may seem strange that a man who is clearly dishonest, disloyal, and has no interest in marriage would have any appeal to a woman. But throughout all of history and in all cultures, this type has had a fatal effect. What the rake offers is what society normally does not allow women: an affair of pure pleasure, an exciting brush with danger. A woman is often deeply oppressed by the role she is expected to play. She is supposed to be the tender, civilizing force in society, and to want commitment and lifelong loyalty. But often, her marriages and relationships give her not romance and devotion, but routine and an endlessly distracted mate. It remains an abiding female fantasy to meet a man who gives totally of himself, who lives for her, even if only for a while. So women longing to just be paid attention to. Somebody who actually give a fuck about them, noticing them. They want some of that. Mm. The dark, repressed side of a female desire found expression. This dark, repressed side of female desire found expression in the legend of Don Juan. At first, the legend was a male fantasy, the adventurous knight who could have any woman he wanted. But in the 17th and 18th centuries, Don Juan slowly evolved from the masculine adventurer to a more feminized version, a man who lived only for women. This evolution came from women's interest in the story and was a result of their frustrated desires. Marriage, oh damn. Marriage for them was a form of indentured servitude. God damn. Women feel like that. Oh shit, my bad. Women feel like that to today. Let me say that again. Marriage for them was a form of indentured servitude. God damn. Hold on, man. Fix this shit. Alright, let's get back to it. Where is it? Alright. Marriage for them was a form of indentured servitude, but Don Juan offered pleasure for his own sake, desire with no strings attached. For the time he crossed your path, you were all he thought about. His desire, his desire for you was so powerful that he gave you no time to think or to worry about the consequences. He would come in the night, give you an unforgettable moment, and then vanish. You might have conquered 1,000 women before you, but that only made him more interesting. Better to be abandoned than undesired by such men. Damn. Yeah, I'm feeling like that. You feel me? That's crazy. Yeah, I don't feel like shit. If you don't want me, then I really ain't shit. I'd rather get abandoned by this nigga than never even had this nigga pay attention to me. Woo. That's wild. The great seducers do not offer the mild pleasures that society condones. They touch a person's unconscious, those those repressed desires that cry out for liberation. Do not imagine that women are the tender creatures that some people would like them to be. Like men, they are deeply attracted to the forbidden, the dangerous, even the slightly evil. Don Juan ends by going to hell, and the word and the word rake comes from rake hell, a man who rakes the coals of hell. The devilish component clearly is an important part of the fantasy. Why did Don Juan gotta go to hell? That's messed up. Always remember, if you are to play the rake, you must convey a sense of risk and darkness, suggesting to your victim that she is participating in something rare and thrilling, a chance to play out her own rakish desires. Damn, that's deep. She feels so she ready to live. She ain't been living. To play the rake, the most obvious requirement is the ability to let yourself go, to draw a woman into the kind of purely sensual moment in which past and future lose meaning. You must be able to abandon yourself to the moment. When the rake Volmont, a character model after the Duke de, D. Richelieu, and Laclos' 18th century novel, Dangerous Liaisons. Writer writes letters that are obviously calculated to have a certain effect on his chosen victim. Madame de Tourvel, she sees right through them, but when his letters really do burn with passion, she begins to relent. Man, so first she see right through him, he just saying shit, but he kept going. She talking about it burning with real passion. She seen it. She An added benefit of this quality is that it makes you seem unable to control yourself, a display of weakness that a woman enjoys. By abandoning yourself to the seduced, you make them feel that you exist for them alone, a feeling reflecting a truth, though a temporary one. One of the hundreds of women that Pablo Picasso consummate, consummate rake, seduced over the years. Most of them had the feeling that they were the only one he truly loved. The rake never worries about a woman's resistance to him, or for that matter, about any other obstacle in his path. A husband, a physical barrier, resistance is only the spur to his desire, inflaming him all the more. When Picasso was seducing Fr- Fran- Francesca, Franci, Fran- Francis Gillette, Francis Gillette, in fact, he begged her to resist. He needed resistance to add to the thrill. In any case, an obstacle in your way gives you the opportunity to prove yourself and the creativity you bring to matters of love. In the 11th century Japanese novel, The Tale of Genji by the court lady Murasaki Shikibu, Murasaki Shikibu, the right prince Neo is not dis- is not disturbed by the sudden disappearance of Yukifon, the woman he loves. She has fled because although she is interested in the prince, she is in love with another man. She is in love with another man, but her absence allows the prince to go to extreme lengths to track her down. His sudden appearance to risk her away, to whisk her away to a house deep in the woods, and the gallantry he displays in doing so overwhelm her. Remember, if no resistances or obstacles face you, you must create them. No seduction can proceed without them. The rake is an extreme. The rake is an extreme personality, impute, impudent, sarcastic, and bitingly witty, witty, and bitterly witty. He cares nothing for what anyone thinks. Paradoxically, this only makes him more seductive. In the court-like atmosphere of studio era Hollywood, okay, in the court-like atmosphere of studio era Hollywood, when most of the actors behaved like dutiful sheep, the great rake Earl Flynn stood out in his insolence. He defied the studio chiefs, engaged in the most extreme pranks, reveled in his reputation as Hollywood's supreme seducer, all of which enhanced his popularity. The rake needs a backdrop of convention, a stultified court, a humdrum marriage, a conservative culture to shine, to be appreciated for the breath of fresh air he provides. Never worry about going too far. The rake's essence is that he goes further than anyone else. When the Earl of Rochester, 17th century England's most notorious rake and poet, abducted Elizabeth Mallet, one of the most sought after young ladies of the court. He was duly punished. But lo and behold, a few years later, young Elizabeth though wooed by the most eligible bachelors in the country, chose Rochester to be her husband. In demonstrating his atrocious desire, he made himself stand out from the crowd. That is crazy. Hey, man. But the funny thing, women do say that. They want the moon and earth. They really want you to do some crazy shit for them. Let's explain it. That's why you get him. He showing that he would, that he capable of it, that he might do that wild shit. He give it hope. He give it fantasy. Put it in the dream world. Yeah, that makes sense. Related to the rakes, extremism is the sense of danger, taboo, perhaps even the hint of cruelty about them. This was the appeal of another poet rake, one of the greatest in history, Lord Byron. Byron disliked any kind of convention, and happily played this up. When he had an affair with his half sister, when he had an affair with his half sister, who bore a child by him, he made sure that all of England knew about it. He could be uncommonly cruel, as he was to his wife, but all of this only made him that much more desirable. Danger and taboo appeal to a repressed side of women, who are supposed to represent a civilizing, moralizing force in culture. Just as a man may fall victim to the siren through his desires to be free of his sense of masculine responsibility, a woman may succumb to the rake through her yearning to be free of the constraints of virtue and decency. Indeed, it is often the most virtuous woman who falls most deeply in love with the rake. So all them real good girls, she's a super good girl. Ray got her. She ready to cut loose. She want to get fucked wild. She want to get slutty. She want to get dog. Yeah, she want to go through it. She want to have it. She want to see what it's about. She want to feel it. She want to know what's going on. She ready to live. They feel like they caged birds. They're ready to fly, man. That's crazy. Among the Rake's most seductive qualities is his ability to make women want to reform him. How many thought they would be the one to tame Lord Byron? How many of Picasso's women thought they would finally be the one with whom he would spend the rest of his life? You must exploit this tendency to the fullest. When caught red-handed in rakishness, fall back on your weakness, your desire to change, and your inability to do so. With so many women at your feet, what can you do? You are the one who is the victim. You need help. Women will jump at this opportunity. They are uncommonly indulgent for the rake, for he is such a pleasant, dashing figure. The desire to reform him disguises the true nature of their desire, the secret thrill they get from him. When President Bill Clinton was clearly caught out as a rake, it was women who rushed to his defense, finding every possible excuse for him. The fact that the rake is so devoted to women in his own strange way makes him lovable and seductive to them. Hey, man, you can't hate the facts. That's funny. He got caught cheating on his wife, and there was more women coming to defend him. Man, that's crazy. Woo. Finally, a rake's greatest asset is his reputation. Never downplay your bad name or seem to apologize for it. Instead, embrace it, enhance it. It is what draws women to you. There are several things you must be known for. Your irresistible attractiveness to women, your uncontrollable devotion to pleasure. This will make you seem weak, but also exciting to be around. Your disdain for convention, a rebellious streak that makes you seem dangerous. This last element can be slightly hidden on the surface. Be polite and civil while letting it be known that behind the scenes you are in, incorrigible, 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 incorrigible. I don't know what word that means. What does incorrigible mean? Somebody let me know what that means. Duke, Duke de la Richelieu made his conquest as public as possible, exciting other women's competitive desire to join the club of the seduced. It was by reputation that Lord Byron attracted his willing victims. A woman may feel ab- ambivalent about President Clinton's reputation, but beneath that ambivalence is an underlying interest. Do not leave your reputation to chance or gossip. It is your life's artwork, and you must craft it, hone it, and display it with the care of an artist. Damn. You gotta let these women know you got these hoes. You gotta let them know you fucking these hoes. You got to. There ain't no way around it. The dangers of being a rake. Okay, the dangers. Like the siren, the rake faces the most danger from members of his own sex, who are far less indulgent than women are of his constant skirt chasing. In the old days, a rake was often an aristocrat, and no matter how many people he offended or even killed, in the end, he would go unpunished. Today, only stars and the very wealthy could play the rake with impunity. With, with impunity. With impunity. The rest of us need to be careful. Elvis Presley had been shy. Damn, that's deep. So they said only stars and rich people could do it. Really play the rake all the way up, for real, for real. Really be evil, bad, doing some shit, talking crazy, really going after women, sending her on trips, taking her flying wherever, like really, really do it for real, for real. And stars and very wealthy people, they can really play it to the full extent, I guess. That makes sense though. Cause you really gonna give her a fantasy. She ain't nowhere she can hide though. She gonna lay. You gonna give her the chase she want. Man, that's deep. Elvis Presley had been a shy young man. Elvis Presley had been a shy young man, attaining early stardom, and seeing the power it gave him over women. He went berserk, becoming a rake almost overnight. Like many rakes, Elvis had a predilection for women. A predilection, a predator, a predilection, predilection, predilection for women, predilection for women who were already taken. Damn. These niggas want niggas who are want women, want niggas bitches. I just girl, niggas, you girl around me, true player for real. That's my nigga for real. You heard me? He found himself cornered by an angry husband or boyfriend on numerous occasions and came away with a few cuts and bruises. This might seem to this might seem to suggest that you should step lightly around husbands and boyfriends, especially early on in your career. But the charm of the rake is that such dangers don't matter to them. You cannot be a rake by being fearful and prudent. The occasional pummeling is part of the game. Later on, in any case, at the height of Elvis's fame, no husband would dare touch him. You know? Which is true. That's crazy. So hey man, you gotta do it, man. You gotta make it work for you, man. That's really all it is. You gotta make these things work for you in the best ways. The greater the danger for the rake comes not from the violently offended husband, but from those insecure men who feel threatened by the Don Juan figure. Although they will not admit it, they envy the rake's life of pleasure, and like everyone envious, they will attack in hidden ways, often masking their prosecutions as morality. Whew. The rake may find his career endangered by such men, or by the occasional woman who is equally insecure and who feels hurt because the rake does not want her. There is little the rake can do to avoid envy. If everyone if everyone was as successful in seduction, society would not function. You feel me? Society would not function if everybody could seduce whoever they want to have, whoever they want. Right? But this is funny. Niggas do be hating. Nigga hitting all those. They telling on you that you fucking bitches, telling, saying everything, letting everybody know, telling all your secrets, saying everything, telling the girl what you got going on, trying to get her away from. Hey, no. Then try to cover up, talking about acting like they doing the right thing. I'm trying to help you. I'm letting you know he hurting you. You don't give a fuck, nigga. You jealous, hating ass. Trying to act like you really care. No, man. Leave him alone. No. Why would he be doing that to you? No, I don't like that he did that to her. I'm just being real, man, because I really care about her. Get your bitch ass on with that bitch shit. They punk ass. They be hating. They bitch. Nigga hating, man. He hitting them hoes. So accept envy as a badge of honor. Don't be naive. Be aware. When attacked by a moralist prosecutor, when attacked by a moralist prosecutor, do not be taken in by their crusade. It is motivated by envy, pure and simple. You can blunt it by being less of a rake, asking forgiveness, claiming to have reform, but this will damage your reputation, make you seem less lovable, less lovably rakish. In the end, it is better to suffer attacks with dignity and keep on seducing. Seduction is the source of your power, and you can always count on the infinite indulgence of women. All right, that's all for the rake, man. You know what I'm saying? That was a good one. Next, we're gonna do the ideal lover. It's 9 of these motherfuckers. We only need 2 of them. So, we're gonna finish. It's a whole lot more to go. So, like, subscribe, get at me. Let me know what's going on, man. Put a comment if there's any more books y'all want me to read, anything. Any criticism, criticize, critiques, whatever the fuck, anything y'all need me to do better, say better, look better, wear better, change better. Let me know, man. Get at me. Spicy Ball. Like, subscribe, get on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, nigga. Hit me up.